The thing about PDF UA is not that it provides better accessibility over the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, or WCAG as it's known, but rather that it provides a definitive interpretation of the specification that covers the portable document format, otherwise known as PDF. This is why ISO 14289, otherwise known as PDF UA, is called a companion standard. In order to create an accessible PDF, you must incorporate all the relevant rules covered by existing standards. It's important to note that PDF UA makes a concerted effort to avoid dictating how content is created or written in order to make a document accessible. Acting as a companion standard provides a means to focus on the functionality of the PDF document and forces you to apply any other standards that might require additional rules for content. Understanding this, PDF UA provides a means for the content itself to be programmatically determined, meaning that the content is delivered in such a way that assistive technology can extract and interpret the information in a meaningful way. When we make documents PDF UA, we're providing better context of the tags that are used to assistive technology. This means that certain guidelines must be followed in order to accomplish that. It starts from a properly tagged PDF. The first thing we need to do to improve upon this context is to provide an alternate description for the links we use in our PDF. Let's take a look at the first link we have, which refers to our first endnote. In the Object Properties dialog box, I have a space I can place alternate text. This field is generally used to change the properties at the tag level, meaning that the information exposed here is directly related to the content it's related to. We want to change the actual properties of the tag element itself, providing attributes that will make the tag more robust. To do this, I'll select the button at the bottom, Edit Tag. The Tag Element dialog box appears. Click the arrow next to Tag Element to show whatever's inside of it. A bunch of scary looking code appears in the box. I'm not really going to go over what all these things mean because it's really not that important for you. When we're in here, we'll just do what we need to do and split. But I will provide a brief overview of what's going on. In this pane, all the important information is being displayed from the bottom up. So the /s at the bottom is showing us that we're dealing with a link. And then it's followed by /pg, explaining that stuff is happening on the page. Usually K deals with stuff that we need to deal with when dealing with actual elements. As for this A up here, think of it as the lowest level of the tag element, which you can consider refers to any special attributes for it. In our case, we'll be modifying the /k section. Expand the /k. Using the same logic of reading everything from the bottom up, the type refers to the purpose of the link, and we need to deal with the object itself. Remember when we were editing the URLs and the links earlier? I explained how the PDF has an actual object for each hyperlink. The /obj mentioned here refers to the actual link object and not the actual content we can see that tells the user where to go. That's why we didn't add alternate text in the Object Properties window, because we're dealing with more than just the content the link tag represents. Anyway, if we open the /obj, we see a bunch of stuff inside that basically make up the object itself. Scrolling down, using our logic of working backwards, we can see that the object of our link is considered an annotate, which is short for annotation. Let's add some information about the object to provide a better semantic value to the actual link object. Click on the New Item button. A dialog box appears with a relatively unhelpful label of Add Key and Value. In the key field, type contents. Be careful to use the correct spelling and capitalize that first letter. Then tab over to the value field. In this field, we'll be explaining what the alternate description is for our link. I'll put EndNote 1. Now click the value type dropdown and change it from name to string. Then click OK. Now we can see our handiwork in the list of other things that are making up what this object is. This means that assistive technology will be able to have a better grasp of what to do when it encounters our link tag. It'll see that there's a link, and inside that link there's an object. That object has a machine-readable label of contents. The contents are explained as EndNote 1. At this point, we can just close out of these dialog boxes. So how do I know that the way to provide alternate descriptions to links is to use something called contents, and that it's required to use a type of string? As I explained earlier, ISO 14289 is a companion standard, and it's a companion to the standard that provides specifications to PDF. This standard is known as ISO 32000. We know that the object we're messing with is considered an annotation. If we refer to the 32000 document, we see a list of stuff that is common to all annotations, and contents is explained as a key having a type of text string. We know this is relevant to our needs because it even tells us its purpose is to extract the document's contents in support of accessibility to users with disabilities. I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of the links, dealing with each EndNote reference link first and then doing the list item it corresponds to. According to WCAG, link purpose is covered by 2.4.4. This provision can be met by the text that surrounds it. The problem with applying this technique to PDF is that the link in the code is provided in two places. You have the actual content itself, which is linked, and you also have the actual link object that is created in the PDF separately. Because there's a separate object for the hyperlink it references, it actually becomes non-text content. While the link object in our content is not visible, it still exists in the presentation. In fact, it's only not visible because I made it invisible. We could just as easily make them visible in the document if we wanted to. I mention all this because there seems to be a misunderstanding that PDF UA is adding better, more robust accessibility features than WCAG addresses. What's really the case is that PDF UA is giving us an actual way of achieving WCAG by strictly interpreting the WCAG guidelines via ISO 32000. Editing links like this can be a tremendous drag. Should PDF UA continue to be required in the upcoming Section 508 refresh, it would be way better if programs like Microsoft Word or InDesign or really anything else that creates a tag PDF could provide us with a way to easily modify that in the authoring program. Anyway, now that our links have alternate descriptions on them, we need to address the purpose of the endnote. According to the ISO 14289 specifications, notes are required to have unique identifiers that provide context to the information it represents. Personally, I think this requirement is rather stupid, only because, to the best of my knowledge, there's no related means of associating these IDs to information they're representing. However, unlike WCAG, which has a bunch of recommendations on how to do something, this is a pretty straightforward requirement that we actually need to do it in order for us to claim conformance to the 14289 specification. So right-click on the note tag, and in the Object Properties dialog box, tab down to the ID field and give it a unique ID. It's probably better if the ID is somewhat related to the purpose of the note, so I'll make it 01. I'll just go ahead and change these other notes as well. Now that our notes and links are out of the way, let's deal with the other common tag in PDF we need to provide better context to end users. The tag I'm referring to is a list tag. Specifically, it is the relationship between the labels and the list items they refer to. In PDF UA, ordered lists must have a means of distinguishing their purpose as an ordered list. In our document, we have 3 ordered lists, made up of 2 separate kinds of labels. Up on the second page, we have a lowercase letter ordered list, and down at the bottom, there's a numbered list of our endnotes. Using our trusty copy of PDF 32000, you can see that the standard list attribute for the numbered list needs a value of decimal, and the lowercase letters have the value of lower alpha. When we use attributes, they have specific requirements that must be done in order for them to actually work. Anyway, the way we create attributes is a little more involved than when we created the link descriptions. Right-click on the L tag and choose Properties. This time, choose the button Edit Attribute Objects. In the Attributes dialog box that appears, choose the button New Item. We see that a new attribute gets created called Attribute Object 1. When we look inside it, we can see that by default, the owner of this new attribute is the layout. That won't work for our needs because we need an owner of list. When dealing with attributes, each object has what's called an owner entry. The owner determines how the attributes get interpreted by the object's dictionary. When it comes to the list numbering attribute, we must only use it where there is a specific value of list in the owner entry. This will make the attribute controllable by only the list. Select the label /O and choose the button Change Item. Change the value in the field to List and click OK. Now we see that we have a list owner in our attributes. Let's inspect our list tag element to find that list owner. Back in the Object Properties dialog box, select the button Edit Tag. This time, when we expand the tag element, let's look at the /A dictionary. Remember to think about /A as in A is for attribute. Click on New Item. In the key, enter list numbering into the field, all one word using camel caps. In the value field, again using camel caps, type lower alpha. Leave the value type alone and click OK. Now when we check out the attributes of the Object Properties dialog box, we see that we have a list numbering attribute of lower alpha that's owner entry is a list. I'll just take care of these other ordered lists real quick. Okay, we're in the home stretch now. The last thing we need to do when making a PDF UA document is to actually tell the end user we've made a PDF UA document. I'm not kidding. This is the one place we can actually brag about making a more accessible document than the other crap PDFs you find online. To add this information, we'll add some XML to the document properties. I'll include a link to that below this video. To add this XML, go to File, then Properties. In the Description tab, choose the button for Additional Metadata. In the next dialog box that appears, choose Advanced. Click on Append. A Finder window appears, or Explorer if you're using Windows. Find the PDF UA XMP and click Open. Two things get added to the document. The first is the ID for the PDF-A specification, and the second is the PDF-UA ID. This document doesn't need the PDF-A specification because I'm not going to go through the trouble of making this archive. And just select the one with the word PDF-A in the path and click Delete. Now click OK and exit the document properties. The final step is saving the PDF. On our navigation pane, a new icon appears. When we click on it, we can open the standards pane. Inside here, we see that we're claiming conformance to the PDF-UA-1 standard, and it provides the actual ISO designation of ISO 14289-1. So awesome. Note that it also says that it has a status of not yet verified. We'll address that in the next video.